Okay, so hi everyone, and this in this video I will be discussing about a special type of machine learning problem, and I hope this problem is very much familiar to all the 90s kids. So because it orients towards the Pokemon. So in this problem, we are going to predict the Pokemon using machine learning algorithm. So a machine learning algorithm can be used to make predictions, and guess what a particular uh, output will be for the corresponding inputs. So this is how machine learning algorithm works. In the previous video, we have seen the decision tree classifiers. So if you are interested to know about the decision tree classifier, I will post all the links in the description, and you can go and check it out. In this video, we will be using this decision tree classifier, the same decision tree classifier, and predict a particular Pokemon based on its statistics. Okay, so starting from the first session, as you all know that this is organized in these 5 sections. So first of all, for predicting the Pokemon, we need to have a classifier. So in this Jupyter notebook, we are having the decision tree classifier. So as if anyone is new to this, kindly note that this is a Google Colab notebook that is part of the colab.research.google.com. I will also post the link to this in the description. So for the first step is to import all the packages that is needed for. So the two packages that we need is the one is the pandas, and next one is the decision tree classifier. So we have imported that, and next we are going to import the Pokemon data. So this is the data set. In order to perform any task in a machine learning work, we need to have the data. So the data we are going to have is uploaded in my GitHub repository. So it is a Pokemon dataset that I found online, and it is a freely available dataset. So just for curiosity and just for fun, I have worked out this example, and this is I take this as an example and present it to students for creating some interesting things for them. So first of all, we have the number of rows equal to 1000, and in the second line we have the data frame. So that is pandas.read.csv, read underscore csv. So it reads a csv file, and we are going to read this csv file from this GitHub link, and we are separated as it is a csv file, so it is separated using comma. And the number of rows, we have not yet seen this attribute before, so n rows specifies that the number of rows to be loaded in the data frame. So this actually loads 1000 rows, 1000 records from the csv file, and loads it into the data frame 1, that is a df1 variable. So when we print this df1 variable, you can see that the dataset is having these kind of features. So the first one is the id. Every Pokemon has a particular id, so the id starts from 0, and the second attribute is the name of the Pokemon. Of course it is needed. So that is the target class variable that we will be predicting in this video. So the next type is the type of the Pokemon. So this actually specifies what a particular Pokemon is of type. So for example, if we consider Bulbasaur, it is of grass and poison, whereas when we consider the Charmander, it is of fire type. Likewise, every Pokemon is varies from one type to another. So the next attribute is the total HP of a particular Pokemon. So after that, there is a HP, there is attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. For those of you familiar with the Pokemon cards, Pokemon games, and Pokemon series, anime series, so you will be familiar with these kinds of values. So these are all the special characteristics that differentiate these Pokemon. Based on these values, um upon the story, they evolve into another Pokemon, and so on. So this is the Pokemon dataset that we will be using. So if you follow this link in the GitHub, so actually let me just show it to you. This is the GitHub repository that is open right now. So as you can see, this is the entire Pokemon dataset that I have in my GitHub repository. So actually there are 1035 Pokemons are there. Okay, but because we have restricted to load only 1000 rows, so the index starts from 0 to 999, so that is 1000 rows and 10 columns. So that means 10 attributes are there and we have 1000 rows. Okay, so this is how Pokemon dataset. This is actually a Pokemon dataset, and this can be used for supervised machine learning also. So because we are using a decision tree classifier, we can fit this data type, fit this data to the machine learning model or the decision tree model. Okay, so the next step is to pre-process the Pokemon data. So as you are aware of the data, it has a certain set of attributes, that is the ID, the type, and the total. All these kinds of things are it is not necessary for the algorithm to learn. So we have the data frame, and we call a method called as drop, and we specify what are all the columns that we are going to drop from the data frame. So as you are aware of that, the data frame is having 10 rows, 10 columns, and we only leave out these columns, that is the name, ID, type, and total. So these are all the only columns that we will drop from the data frame, and we will asset it into the X. So X is actually from the previous videos you might have understood that X is a set of features or the set of records that has Pokemon features, and Y is actually a target class variable. So data frame 1 of name, so we are going to predict the name of the Pokemon based on these HP, special attack, special defense, and these kind of parameters. So hence we keep the name as the Y. So later on, just this is not necessary, so we just display the X value. Okay, so let me just display it to you, and as you can see, the X is taken from there, and we convert the X into a particular array. So data frame, the set of values, or all the values that we have in there, and we converted it into the values. Okay, so array values. So it is an array of array consisting of many elements that each corresponds to a particular Pokemon. Okay, so the next step is to learn the features from this Pokemon species. So this line is not necessary because we have already imported the decision tree classifier at the top, so we can directly skip this line and then build the program. Okay, so we have created a model of decision tree classifier of the maximum depth the tree to be constructed to be 5, and the criterion is Guinea index. So next we just fit the model, and X we use the model.fit and X and Y, the same coding that we have seen in the previous videos. So you will be much familiar if you look at those videos. Okay, so next we predict the Pokemon. So the input that we are giving to the classifier. So in order to make a prediction using a machine learning algorithm in scikit-learn, okay, you need to call the method model.predict. So model is the model that we have created, that is the decision tree model that we have created, and it is a trained model. So it is trained with all the records that we are having in the X. So the model is trained what are all the features and what are all the features that corresponds to a particular Pokemon represented in the Y. So we just call the model.predict, and then inside of the predict function we pass in the parameter as input. So this input is the array of array, Okay, remember that we have stored it in as an array of array. So this element is actually having the 18, 10, 55, 15, 20, 80. So that corresponds to the HP, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. So these are all the values that we are passing it here. So the YPRED will predict. One second, let me just build it once again. Okay, so as you know, the now the Pokemon is it is predicting it as a different one. So let me just build it again. Okay, so 20, 10, 55, 15, 20, 80. Let me just change a bit of values. Okay, so this is the Pokemon that the decision tree is currently predicting. So let's just change the depth, or let me just alter it a bit. Okay, so so now it is predicting as a Magikarp. So just by fine tuning or refining the decision tree algorithm, we can make the predictions accurate. So this how come I know these values? I just went to the dataset, and I am giving almost exactly identical values in this array. So the predicted Pokemon is it actually stores as a two variable. So YPRED of 0 is having the predicted values, and let me just display it. Okay, so Magikarp is a value that is an output of the these values. So let's just sorry, go to the GitHub, and let me just search for. If you look at Magikarp, the type is water, the total is 200, and 20, 10, 55, 15, 20, and 80. So these are all the values that I have given in this array, and the decision tree algorithm is exactly predicting it to be a Magikarp. So if you are not familiar with Magikarp, you can just Google the name, and it is famous Pokemon that you can see it here. Okay, so you just Google it. Yeah, so this is this is a machine learning problem to predict a Magikarp. Okay, so now this image is placed here. So this is not actually predicting the particular Pokemon, and the image is displayed here. This is if I double click here, you can recollect that I have already told that we can embed images in the text block of the Google Colab notebook. So this I am just using the image SRC, and I am just opening the image from the Pokemon database and just loading it into. This is just for illustration, and it has nothing to do with the algorithm or the code. Whatever the code is displaying, it has no relation to it. Okay, so let me just change a few values, and the Pokemon will be predicted differently. Okay, so as you can see, so this is how we can predict a particular Pokemon using decision tree algorithm, or specifically we can use any machine learning algorithm to make these predictions. Okay, so in order for the predictions to be accurate, we can verify it with the actual values and the predicted values. So these actual values are already in the dataset, so we can cross check to give whether decision tree is working well or not. You can just refine it using the previous methods, previous videos that I shown. So you can directly predict any kind of Pokemon using the decision tree algorithm. So I hope this video was interesting to you, and this session is mainly to illustrate how a Pokemon concept can be integrated into a machine learning, and how a particular person can predict something based on the input features. So this actually teaches that the machine learning algorithms needs to be trained with a set of features from the dataset, and based on the features that is used to train, it can predict a particular target class, it can predict a particular class or a particular attribute or a column from the database. So we have in this problem, we have used the name as the target variable. So we are just predicting the names, the Pokemon names using these kind of values. So let me just copy the Bulbasaur values and let me just paste it here, and it will show Bulbasaur. Let me just separate it with comma. Okay, so we build it and it shows Bulbasaur. So this is how Pokemon can be predicted, and I hope you understood that who's that Pokemon is an example using this machine learning technique. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you really like the videos and you really want to support me, please subscribe, like and share this video to your friends who are doing research, or who want to learn machine learning. So this video will be helpful to them, and please share the video, like and subscribe. Thank you.